Remember me asking you if it was next to the stove, where the wall, where I put the wall. Those 3 questions where I asked you, where you asked me if it was next to the stove, where the wall is, or on top of the counter, or in the drawer. You remember me asking those? You remember you asking me those 3 questions if it was next to those questions?
I didn't think you were already that brain dead right now.
Christian, you're not answering my questions. No.
When I said, I asked the question, is it next to the stove or in the drawers?
Or on top of the counter.
You would think I was talking about the wall.
Okay, there you go. There you go. There you go. You just
You would be
answered.
smart
Okay.
enough to know that I was actually talking about the counter that was next to the stove, not the wall. When I said next to the stove, every time I meant the counter when I said next to the stove. I never meant the wall. So, I never asked, is it next to the wall, on the counter, or in the drawers? Those words never came out of my mouth until now.
Okay. Now you thought that I was talking about the drawers or the counter.
Yes.
Okay. But those first 3 times I was explaining it to you, I still didn't even mention the wall. So I knew you were talking about the wall because I understood what you were saying. I never thought the wall. But I was trying to prove with logic to you how you said the wall. So obviously it can't be next to the wall because it would either be next to the wall outside or next to the wall inside where the stove is, where there's not a counter next to the wall. Okay, so I understood that. But now you're breaking it down into 2 places. Could have been on the counter or in the drawers.
That was my first thing.
Yep, that was your first question. But those first 3 times I explained it to you, I still never mentioned the counter, and you said I never mentioned counter.
Yes, I was trying to focus on that all up to the point where you explained it the 4th time and just said next to the stove. And what my thought was, when you said next to the stove, there was also chips on top of the counter.
Okay, but you're not letting me finish. Those 3 times I did explain it to you, I never mentioned counter. The first time I even explained to you where the chips were, I said in the drawers, and I explained to you where the silverware were, where
Yes.
the spatulas were, and where the oven mitts used to be.
Yes.
Yeah, the first time I explained the whole thing to you about where the chips were, I talked about in the drawer. And then the second and the 3rd time I explained it to you,
The same thing.
yep, the same thing. I mentioned the drawers.
But then
So where does counter
My-
come from
my
in
mind's-
your head?
my mind switched off when you said next to the stove. My mind switched off that. My mind thought, oh, there's not only chips in the drawer, there's chips on the counter.
Yeah, I don't get your logic there. I don't know where you got counter from. Because I understand what,
To the stove.
now I understand what you're saying. But I still never mentioned counter.
You never mentioned the counter.
I
Yes.
never mentioned the counter.
But when you say next to the stove, and that's all you say,
Other than the 3
My-
times I explained that it was
Yes.
in drawers.
but my brain switched. to
Apparently.
It's in the drawers, but there's some on the counter too. And if you want me to get the ones on the counter too. That's what my brain switched to.
Yeah, I don't know where you're getting that from. I don't know why your brain switched that off on you because now you just sound crazy.
Crazy if that happens.
Just so how would I have to admit that I was wrong?
Because if you would have thought about my question, it had nothing to do with the drawers.
But that doesn't mean I'm wrong.